She loved how he was emotionless until her mom was in the hospital due to heart surgery, and she wanted him to comfort her, but he physically couldn't cause he was so empty inside. My new employer, an Ivy League grad who just returned from a stint overseas, told me that traditional parenting was primitive. She demanded I raise her child according to the instructions of an AI. The AI says 30 milliliters. You will not feed him 31 milliliters. The baby's crying. Don't you dare pick him up. First, log the decibels and duration into the app. Then select a tag for the cause. The AI will analyze if it's an unproductive cry. Remember, she said, her eyes sweeping over me with disdain, you are here to execute commands, not to act on experience. She added, my son is destined for the Ivy League. His life must be managed with the utmost scientific and efficient methods from day one. I'm paying you top dollar, and it's not to be his second mommy. I looked at the tiny infant in the cradle, his small body yearning for a simple embrace, and for the first time, I questioned my title as a top-tier maternity nurse. But when I followed her eyes' instructions to the letter, I have to wonder why did she come to regret it so deeply. He's crying. Log it. Amanda's voice was as sterile and sharp as a scalpel, utterly devoid of emotion. I clenched my fists, my eyes fixed on the monitor where the decibel level of the cries was spiking violently. In the cradle, the baby, only 12 days old, had a face flushed a furious, blotchy red. His cries were piercing, punctuated by pathetic, ragged gasps for air. My heart felt like it was caught in a vice. Amanda, I pleaded, my voice barely a whisper, a first in my entire career. From the sound of it, he has gas. Let me give him a little massage to help relieve it. Amanda didn't even look up, her fingers flying across the iPad screen. The AI analysis concludes, attention-seeking cry. It's classified as unproductive. She swiped the pop-up away, and issued a cold command. The instruction is to observe in place for 15 minutes to cultivate independence. 15 minutes. The words escaped my lips in a horrified gasp. He'll cry himself sick. Amanda finally lifted her gaze, her eyes holding the same look one might give a Neanderthal trying to explain quantum physics. Sarah, have I not made it clear? You are here to execute commands. Your experience, I think, is worthless. I paid a fortune for this Ivy Prep development system. It's backed by the research of hundreds of child psychologists and behavioral scientists. She scoffed. You really think your folk wisdom trumps that? She tapped the iPad. This is science. Do you understand science? The seconds ticked by like tiny, agonizing drops of water. The baby's cries faded from sharp shrieks to a raw, hoarse rasp. His little body twitched and trembled. Every sound was a lash against my heart. I've been a premium maternity nurse for a decade, caring for over 100 infants. Not a single one had ever been tortured so scientifically. Amanda sat on the sofa, sipping coffee, noise-canceling headphones clamped over her ears. She occasionally glanced at the timer on her screen, her brow furrowed, not with concern for her crying child, but with annoyance that the process was inefficient. 14 minutes, 30 seconds 35. I stared at the cradle, my own breath catching in my throat. At exactly 15 minutes, an alarm chimed. Amanda removed her headphones, a flicker of satisfaction on her face. You see, the command is complete. He cried himself out, and stopped on his own. But the baby in the cradle hadn't stopped. His cries were just too weak to be heard. A faint, desperate mewling. He had exhausted himself completely. His face was turning bluish, his lips trembling. Amanda, something's wrong. I rushed forward, ignoring her protocol. I reached out to touch his forehead. It was clammy and cold, slick with sweat. What do you think you're doing? Amanda's voice was a whip crack. She shoved me away. Who gave you permission to touch him? Do you have any idea how many germs are on your hands? Try that again, and you won't see a dime of this month's pay. She walked to the cradle and peered down, her brow knitting in confusion. Why is he still whimpering? The system clearly stated he'd reached the silence threshold. She poked his cheek as if testing a faulty machine. I couldn't take it anymore. I darted around her and scooped the baby into my arms, laying him gently across my lap. I expertly began to massage his tiny belly. In less than 30 seconds, a series of soft poots broke the silence. The baby's tiny, tense body went limp, and he let out a long, shuddering sigh. The weak cries ceased. He smacked his little lips and drifted into a deep, peaceful sleep. The world was finally quiet. Amanda stood frozen, her face a shifting canvas of purple and white. There was no relief in her eyes, no gratitude for her son's comfort. Instead, she fixed me with a look laced with venom. Sarah, this is a flagrant challenge to the rules I have established. You are undermining my son's foundational understanding of order. You think you've won, don't you? Cradling the warm, soft life in my arms, I said nothing. For the first time in my career, I didn't answer my employer. All I could think was that this magnificent, gilded apartment felt as cold and unforgiving as hell. The next day, a giant whiteboard appeared on the living room wall. Drawn on it in multicolored markers was a performance evaluation chart. My name, Sarah, was written at the very top, followed by a dense list of metrics: feeding duration variance, sec, instructional deviation, percent, non-essential physical contact, count, subjective intervention, count. Next to each item was a deduction amount in glaring red ink. Well, Sarah, Amanda said, holding a pointer like a stern headmistress, since you seem to struggle with modern app-based management, we'll use a more traditional method you might understand. She tapped the whiteboard. From now on, every action you take will be logged. Any deviation from the Babier's directives will be quantified and penalized. $100. She lifted her chin, a cruel smirk playing on her lips. I'm going to let you see for yourself just how worthless that experience of yours really is. I stared at the chart, a wave of dizziness washing over me. This wasn't a job. It was a sentence. At noon, the app prompted a 100 milliliters feeding, as I brought the bottle to the baby's lips. He turned his head violently and started wailing. I checked the nipple. It was the smallest size. The flow was too slow, and he was getting frustrated. Amanda, he's outgrown this nipple. We need to switch to a medium flow. The app hasn't indicated a change is necessary, she noted, not looking up from her logging. Crying cause. Tag selected. Feeding resistance. The AI recommends a 5-minute pause before retrying. But, no, buts. She cut me off. Sarah, your job is to execute. 5 minutes later, the baby was frantic with hunger, his cries tearing through the apartment. When the bottle approached again, he screamed even louder, choking and sputtering as milk dribbled down his chin, soaking his collar. Sorry, due to copyright issues I am unable to continue updating the next chapter. If you like the book. If you like this book, insert 289698 on Mode Novel to read this book.